What would you like to know? Let me tell you.
Darktongue is the insidious infection that threatens to make septic the great and terrible wound that is San. However, any certainty that I had as to her exact whereabouts has been sundered by the sheer stench of her presence. We shall have to deduce her location from those who know the area best. These locals that cling to San like hungry maggots. Dodry Darktongue is...
Good to see you still soldiering on. With all these gods and past horrors wandering around San, I don't assume anyone's alive and kicking these days. If San wasn't mad enough, now we've got some whip-tongued hag cooking up a stinking curse in the sewers. Took it from her mother-in-law at first. But no, based on my meagre historical knowledge, I reckon we have a certain Dodry Darktongue to contend with. Where in blazes is she hiding? I've no idea. So, the only way we're going to catch this witch is by getting our hands, and possibly a lot more, well and truly dirty. And by we, I mean you, of course. The sewers are no place for a simple businessman like me. Do us a favour. Head into them sewers and track that old hag down. Get her to reveal herself, and put her down. Ha! Better your eyes than mine, eh? Quite the pretty pair, aren't they? Yeah, it's pretty bloody disturbing. That girl was once the sweetest lass I could name. Nowadays she's barking as batshite over that living corpse of hers. All it would take is a quick hard bash with a rock, and Tolman would no longer be a problem. Tempting, don't you think? Grigor lived without a single word to me, rude bugger. But I suspect his poetic soul has been drawn back home to Izmir. A long journey, but a trip worth taking to find solace among one's own people. Of course, they'll get quite the shock when they see him. Let's hope familiar love is as nearsighted as they say. There are the fine tales Grigor will be able to tell them, of course. Come to think of it, now that Dominus has been knocked off his perch, there's nothing to stop the Izmites from learning a thing or two from Grigor's stories. They might even consider invading this jewel in Wraeclast's tarnished crown. I certainly hope they have just such an eye for opportunity. A man could make a tidy sum helping said invaders navigate San and its many hazards.
Good to see you in San once again. I wish that we could be greeting under fairer skies, yet this city remains clouded in strife. Lunaris, eternal goddess of the moon, and her sister Solaris of the sun have risen to reclaim what was once their own. Siblings equal in strength, mighty twin rivers converging, sweeping all before them. We are cornered animals, awaiting the deluge that will surely drown us. Yet there exists a pair of ancient treasures, the sun orb and the moon orb. They are our hope, our desperation. Grigor is the butterfly that has lost its wings to a cruel child, and this place of respite has become a cage for his pain, a breeding ground of bad memory. We spoke, and Grigor shared his resolve with me. He can no longer live with the torment that piety has injected into his heart. Like the warrior poet he is, Grigor has ventured into the unknown to find a cure for his body and mind, or die in the attempt. The dead do not love the living, and the living cannot love the dead. People fear what they do not understand. I understand Clarissa. I am not frightened of her. I am frightened for her. They walked our earth in the times of great strife, cruel and hideous shadows cast against the clay wall of ruined abode. Thaumaturge Malachi grew them out of the vain ambitions of his dark imaginings. Emperor Chittis believed the legionnaires belonged to him, that gemling men would beat to the drum of his own crystalline heart. But as the silhouette of the Emperor faltered and fell, burned out by the light of true men, some of the Legion remained. The cataclysm turned legionnaire into monster, another mindless man of undeath. Yet this captain seems to have regained his faculties, some of his old warrior intelligence. I worry for the rest of his soldiers, how they may grow from mindless killing machines into something far worse.
Sarn is changing, and so are we who live here. There, Tolman. Don't you worry. I love you. I'll think of something. You told me Tolman was gone. You were wrong. I found him. No, Tolman, I never gave up on you. His soul remains, flickering deep down inside. Oh, Tolman, I know you're in pain, but it'll be over soon, I promise. My heart aches for Grigor. I know the battle in which he's engaged. It's like my own, a fight to make sense of life in a land that deems life to be worthless. I don't know where he's gone, but I do know he's looking to find himself, his true self, as we all must do in our own time. By all accounts, Tarkus Veruso was a ruthless despot, a man to rival even the likes of Dominus. Yet his heart of stone contained one precious theme, his love for his wife, Kiara. So when the poor young woman died giving birth to Veruso's son, Kaspero, the grieving emperor threw aside his great convictions and placed his last hope in thaumaturgy, in the Ankh of eternity. Perhaps it was shame that drove Tarkus to lock the Ankh away, to steal such hopes from his descendants. It was he who had asked his people to turn their backs on the ancient arts, so what right had he to enjoy that which he forbade? Love gave him that right. As I understand it, the Ankh of Eternity was somehow able to return the dead to the full bloom of life. There was nothing necromantic about it. Rather, it was a source of true resurrection. How it came to exist, I honestly don't know. A couple of inscriptions I read treated the Ankh as some sort of gift to Veruso from the Val. But surely the Var were long gone by Veruso's time, weren't they? No matter. Despite the vagaries of the Ank's origins, Veruso used the Ankh to return his young wife from the deathbed to the wedding bed. The accounts are unanimous on that point. As it was for Veruso's love, so shall it be for mine.
Yes? If we are to see the dawn of a new era for humankind, the sun must be taught to behave herself. Upon that mighty span between San's left hand and its right, Solaris burns to consume every single moment of existence. Sparing no thought for life and its needs, she would see the world parched barren before she yields to reason. The sun must be allowed to set, so that it may rise again as a blessing, not a curse. Self-loving Solaris, all the light in the world, yet blinded by her own pride. Not once did she pause to question the truth of her sister's betrayal. Instead, she gloated over her sister's transgressions, proclaiming herself greater and more honorable than Lunaris could ever be. I suppose one shouldn't be surprised when a sun deity takes the higher ground. We approach the zenith of our divine hunt, upon the bridge that chokes the great, wet throat of San. Lunaris, in her cold fury, has forgotten that the warming sun of morning is as life-giving as the cooling damp of evening. The empire Lunaris dreams of shall be lit by moon and twinkling stars, and life itself shall wither away in the perpetual night. One of two sisters who ruled the most populous and powerful of the ancient Asmerian tribes, Solaris was thought to guide the sun across the sky with threads of shimmering gold, whilst Lunaris saw to the wax and wane of moon with a sickle of purest silver. It was a peaceful partnership, until the trickster Tang Mazu happened upon their domain, and turning sister against sister, he saw to the massacre of thousands, whilst concealing the source of their futile feud beyond all reckoning. Feel no pity for the moon. She is a cold and distant fool, far less radiant than she would suppose. Dodri Darktongue is the insidious...
Talamoana.
You getting by? Needing my eclectic expertise again, are we? Solaris and Lunaris got front and center stage among them folks at the Eternal Empire. Solaris was thought to be the light of leadership, guiding and enlightening each emperor that sat the throne. In practice, most of them emperors turned out to be a bit dim, but then history and theology have never quite seen eye to eye. As for Lunaris, a goddess of the moon and earth, the mother of dreams and inspiration. Doesn't sound like a bad lady until you consider that dreams harbor nightmares and that inspiration is just one notion shy of insanity.
Tala.
Yes?
Watch yourself.